Let me tell you something simple. You are not here to prove yourself to people who left. You are here to build something greater with what you have. You people will misunderstand you, they will judge you, leave you, or even compete with you behind your back. That's life. But here's the truth. They are not your responsibility, you are. The moment you stop chasing approval, something magical happens. You free up your mind, your energy, and your time. You stop asking, why did they leave? And start asking, what can I build today? You were not born to fix everyone. You were born to grow, to learn, to rise. Even if that means walking alone for a while, let them go. The fake friends, the doubters, the ones who only call when they need you, let them go. Without hate, without anger, but with peace. Because focusing on yourself is not selfish. It's survival. It's smart. It's how you win. Don't wait for the world to believe in you. Believe in yourself so deeply that even the silence becomes your strength. And remember, when you focus on your own path, the right people will find you, the right energy will follow you, and your success will speak so loudly, you won't have to. Stay focused. Stay patient. Let them go. You're not falling behind. You're just finally moving forward. Too often, we pour our time, energy, and emotions into people who don't pour anything back. We find ourselves trying to fix others, trying to gain their approval, or constantly chasing their validation. We measure our self-worth based on how others treat us instead of how we treat ourselves. But the truth is this: no one else is responsible for building your future. Only you are. That's why your focus should always begin with the most important project you will ever work on, yourself. When you wake up in the morning, before you check your phone, before you scroll through social media or respond to the world, take a moment and ask yourself, what am I doing today to grow me? That question is the foundation of self-investment, not just in money, but in time, in discipline, in boundaries, in learning, and in healing. You see, people will come and go, friends will drift apart, relationships may end, colleagues may disappoint you, the world is always shifting. But the one thing that remains constant through every storm, every win, and every loss is you. So if you're spending all your effort investing in everyone else's comfort, reputation, or journey, and neglecting your own, then you are slowly abandoning your most valuable asset. Investing in yourself is not just about reading books or improving your skills, though those are important. It's about protecting your peace, guarding your mind, saying about prioritizing your mental health, understanding your limits, and creating habits that support your long-term goals rather than temporary pleasures. Some people will not like this version of you. The one who pulls back, the one who chooses discipline over distraction, the one who is no longer available for every crisis or every emotional drama. But that's okay, because you are not meant to be available to everyone at the cost of draining your own power. Your energy is limited, your focus is valuable, your time is non-refundable. Every moment you give away to something that doesn't grow you is a moment you can't get back. There will always be people who expect you to carry their weight while you're still learning to carry your own. There will be people who criticize your decisions when they no longer benefit from your generosity. But remember, you are not a rescue boat for people who refuse to swim. You can be kind, you can be compassionate, but never at the cost of self-betrayal. The more you invest in others without investing in yourself first, the more lost you'll become in their stories while yours remains unfinished. Think about your dreams, your health, your mindset, your routines. These things need daily attention, not when it's convenient, not when you're feeling inspired, but consistently. That's how investment works. You don't see the reward immediately. It takes time. But one day you'll look around and realize that every small decision, every sacrifice, every boundary you set was adding value to your life, not subtracting from it. People may not understand why you're unavailable on weekends, because you're building something. They may not understand why you don't party every night, why you eat differently, why you don't waste your breath explaining things anymore. That's not your job. Your job is to grow. And growth demands personal investment, not people-pleasing. No one else will do this for you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your boss, not your friends. You can have support, but you are the driver. You are the one who decides what you watch, what you read, what you listen to, and who you surround yourself with. You are the one who chooses whether today is another day of excuses or another step forward. Self-investment is not glamorous. It's not always exciting. Sometimes it's boring. It's you sitting alone, learning, thinking, breaking bad habits, rebuilding confidence, and turning pain into purpose. It's not loud or attention-seeking. It's quiet, intentional, and deeply personal. People are often taught that holding on is strength, that fighting to keep relationships, friendships, and connections alive, even when they're draining or toxic, is a sign of loyalty. But real strength is not in how tightly you can hold on. Real strength is knowing when something no longer serves your peace, your growth, or your purpose, and having the courage to let it go. Letting go isn't giving up. It isn't failure. And it most certainly isn't weakness. Letting go is an act of self-respect. When you let go of something or someone that's been hurting you, it means you've finally decided that your well-being matters, that your time, your energy, your boundaries are not up for negotiation anymore. You stop begging to be understood. You stop over-explaining. You stop lowering your standards just to keep a connection alive that was already dying inside. People will guilt you. They'll say you've changed, that you've become cold, distant, selfish. But what they're really saying is that your absence exposed the comfort they once had in your presence. When you start choosing yourself, it becomes uncomfortable for those who are benefiting from your silence, your tolerance, or your emotional labor. But that's not your burden to carry. Letting go can look different in every season. Sometimes it's walking away from a person who doesn't appreciate you. Sometimes it's distancing yourself from environments that drain you. Sometimes it's releasing old habits, outdated mindsets, or limiting beliefs that keep you stuck. It's not always about people. It can be about your past, your regrets, or your fear of change. And the truth is, letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It doesn't mean you didn't try. In fact, it often means you cared too much for too long, to the point where it cost you your own peace. You overextended, you gave chances, explanations, patience, and still nothing changed. So you realize something important. Your energy is sacred, your peace is priceless. You don't need to burn yourself out just to prove your love or loyalty. There's a silent kind of power in letting go. You don't announce it. You don't post about it. You just stop responding. Stop showing up where you're not seen. Stop arguing to be heard. Stop waiting for closure that never comes. You make peace with the fact that sometimes the apology you need will never arrive. Sometimes people won't understand your decision. And that's okay, because this chapter isn't about being understood. It's about understanding yourself. Self-respect means recognizing that your value isn't tied to someone else's inability to appreciate you. It means no longer allowing your worth to be debated or diminished. You don't stay where you're tolerated. You move where you're respected, appreciated, and empowered. And that decision doesn't require a dramatic exit. It simply requires a quiet return back to yourself. Letting go doesn't always happen in one moment. Sometimes it's a process, one decision at a time, one boundary at a time, one brave step at a time. You'll feel guilt. You'll feel doubt. That's normal, because your brain has been wired to attach, to fix, to make things work. But eventually, your spirit speaks louder than your fear. And that's when the shift begins. The moment you start letting go of what isn't aligned with your growth, you make space for what is. You stop holding space for relationships built on convenience or obligation. You stop focusing on what adds value to your life instead of what constantly takes from it. And in that space, you find clarity. You find healing. You find yourself again. Letting go is not about running away or avoiding hard things. It's about honoring your capacity. It's about acknowledging that you're allowed to outgrow people, places, and versions of yourself. You're allowed to say, this no longer fits who I'm becoming. That's not cruelty. That's maturity. That's alignment. That's self-respect. In a world designed to steal your attention, Staying focused has become one of the greatest forms of discipline. Distraction is everywhere, in your pocket, on your screen, in your conversations, even in your thoughts. And most of the time, we don't even realize it. We think we're busy, we think we're working hard, but the truth is, we're often just scattered. Our minds are pulled in 10 different directions, none of them leading to real progress. That's why growth doesn't just require effort, it requires elimination. The elimination of distraction is where true transformation begins. Distractions aren't always obvious. Sometimes they show up as entertainment, sometimes as unnecessary drama, and other times as comfort disguised as routine. They pull you away from your goals, not because they're evil, but because they're easy. It's easy to scroll for hours. It's easy to gossip. It's easy to consume more than you create. The problem is every time you choose distraction, you delay your own potential. You stretch your progress over months and years simply because you won't sit down and focus. Real growth, whether it's in your mindset, your career, your habits, or your character, doesn't happen in chaos. It needs space. It needs clarity. It needs silence. And most importantly, it needs attention. Attention is the currency of growth. Wherever your attention goes, your energy follows. If your attention is constantly hijacked by comparison, noise, or other people's problems, then your energy is too divided to do anything meaningful for yourself. This is why people often feel stuck. They're not stuck because they lack intelligence or talent. They're stuck because they're distracted. They're overwhelmed, not by their goals, but by the number of meaningless things they've allowed into their mental space. You cannot create a better version of yourself if your mind is always running from one notification to another. You cannot master your craft if you check your phone every 10 minutes. You cannot build anything solid if your focus keeps getting pulled apart by things that don't deserve it. Growth starts when you decide to take control of your focus. Not when you feel inspired, not when the timing is perfect, but when you make a firm decision to eliminate what doesn't matter, even if it's popular, fun, or comfortable. That may mean saying no to people who constantly distract you with their problems but never take action. That may mean cutting back on entertainment and doubling down on learning. That may mean waking up earlier, unplugging more, and creating a system where your goals are not optional. Distraction isn't always loud. Sometimes it's disguised as productivity. Doing 100 small things that feel like work, but actually lead nowhere. Real growth requires intention. It asks you to slow down and ask yourself, is this activity, habit, or thought taking me closer to who I want to be? If not, it's a distraction. No matter how harmless it seems, when you remove distractions, you begin to see what you're truly capable of. You start finishing what you start. You start showing up consistently. You stop making excuses. The fog lifts. Your thoughts get clearer. Your priorities become sharper. You stop chasing everything and start building one thing at a time with focus, with depth, with discipline. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it well. Deep work, focused effort, intentional rest, mindful reflection. These are the quiet tools of real growth. They don't grab attention, but they change lives. When you stop giving your time to every impulse and start protecting your focus like it's gold, everything begins to shift. Ideas get deeper, habits get stronger, confidence grows. Not from hype, but from actual progress. There's a certain heaviness that comes when people leave your life. Whether it's friends, family partners, or those you once trusted deeply, it can feel like a loss, like rejection, like something personal. You question your worth, your role, your mistakes. You wonder what you could have done differently. But in truth, not everyone is meant to walk with you through every season of your life. Some people were only meant to be chapters, not the whole story. It's a painful realization, but also a liberating one. The people who left weren't part of your final chapter, not because they were bad and not because you weren't enough, but simply because their role in your life had an expiration date. You see, growth often demands separation. As you rise, evolve, and align more closely with who you're meant to become, certain connections fall away naturally, not out of anger, but out of misalignment. When you grow, you begin to see things differently. You start setting boundaries, speaking up, taking your path more seriously. And not everyone can handle that version of you. Some were comfortable with the old version, the one who tolerated everything, who gave without limits, who stayed quiet just to keep the peace. When that changes, people leave. Some disappear quietly, others leave loudly. Some betray, some ghost, some fade slowly with time. Regardless of how they left, the truth remains. They were never written into the conclusion of your story. Holding on to those who've chosen to walk away is like trying to read the same chapter of a book over and over again, hoping for a different ending. It keeps you stuck. You reread every word, every scene, every emotion, but nothing changes. Meanwhile, the rest of the book, your life is waiting to be written. The deeper, wiser, stronger version of you is waiting on the next page, but it can't be revealed until you turn it. People come into your life for different reasons. Some are there to teach you lessons about love, trust, betrayal, or self-worth. Some come to push you, challenge you, or even break you so that you wake up and begin rebuilding with stronger foundations. Some give you joy, comfort, laughter. Others give you pain, silence, confusion. But they all give you something. And when their role is fulfilled, life moves them out of your story, often in ways you don't expect or want, but need. You don't have to chase closure from people who are already pages behind you. You don't have to beg for explanations from those who chose to exit. You don't have to carry guilt for choosing your peace, even if it meant letting someone go. The people who are meant for your future will never be threatened by your growth. They will adapt, grow with you, and support the higher version of you. Those who can't or won't, they quietly remove themselves, or you're forced to remove them. And that's part of the process. It's not abandonment, it's redirection. Life is refining your circle, not shrinking your worth. It's preparing you for environments where your presence is appreciated, not just tolerated. For relationships built on depth, not convenience. For people who don't just walk into your life, but stay through the hard seasons and celebrate your wins without competition or resentment. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not the reason people leave. Sometimes they leave because they were never equipped to stay. Sometimes they leave because your path required more than they were willing to give. Sometimes they leave because the version of them that entered your life wasn't capable of handling the version of you that you're becoming. Letting go of those who left doesn't mean erasing the memories. It means accepting the reality and making space for what's ahead. Because you're not meant to write your final chapter with characters who stopped reading your story halfway through. I remember success isn't loud. It doesn't always come with applause, attention, or recognition. In fact, the most meaningful success often grows in silence, behind the scenes, away from noise and distractions. While the world is busy performing, competing, and seeking validation, real success is being built quietly, day by day, decision by decision, far from the spotlight. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It doesn't demand permission. It simply shows up in the form of consistent effort, clear focus, and personal accountability. Success is not a performance. It's a private commitment. The kind you make with yourself when no one is watching. It's waking up early to work on your goals even when you're tired. It's staying disciplined when motivation disappears. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. No camera, no audience, no praise, just you, your habits, and your mindset. That's the foundation of anything lasting. People often confuse visibility with achievement. Just because someone is being seen doesn't mean they're succeeding. Just because someone is silent doesn't mean they're stagnant. There are people working in silence right now who will emerge later with results that speak louder than any post or announcement ever could. That's because true success doesn't crave attention, it craves progress. And progress, real progress, is internal before it becomes external. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to announce every move. You don't need to convince others of your potential. The more you grow, the more you'll understand that success is not about who notices you. It's about who you become in the process. When your goals are genuine, you won't waste energy trying to be impressive. You'll focus on being effective. You'll shift from needing praise to needing purpose, from seeking applause to seeking alignment. Self-driven people don't wait for ideal conditions. They create their own momentum. They aren't motivated by competition. They're motivated by their vision. They understand that external validation is unreliable, temporary, and often superficial. What really lasts is the inner drive to become better than who you were yesterday. That kind of drive doesn't fade when no one's watching. It gets stronger because it's rooted in self-respect, not ego. When success is driven by self-discipline, you stop looking sideways. You stop comparing your timeline to others. You stop explaining your goals to people who don't understand them. You stop measuring your worth by likes, followers, or trends. Instead, you start doing the real work, the uncomfortable work, the work that doesn't feel glamorous but lays the bricks for something unshakable. Success that is self-driven is sustainable. It isn't rushed. It isn't built on trends or moments of hype. It's built on structure, sacrifice, and strong foundations. It allows you to grow in integrity, in depth, and with intention. It's not reactive. It's not impulsive. It's thoughtful. It's measured. It's personal. And because it's personal, no one can take it from you. Not opinions, not setbacks, not failure. When your success is self-driven, it becomes unshakable because it's not tied to external forces. You'll notice that the most successful people rarely talk about what they're doing while they're doing it. They don't broadcast their every move. They let their results speak for them. They understand that talking doesn't build empires, discipline does. They use silence not to hide, but to sharpen, to study, to plan, to grow. They're not focused on being seen, they're focused on being ready. The road to success is often quiet because growth requires isolation. It requires concentration. It demands decisions that others may not understand. And that's okay. Because when your vision is clear, your mission becomes louder than your need for noise. You don't need to convince the world. You just need to commit to yourself. At the end of the day, your journey is yours alone. The more you grow, the more you'll realize that not everyone is meant to stay. Some people were only there to teach you, to test you, or to guide you briefly. Holding on to people who no longer support your growth is not loyalty, it's self-neglect. The moment you start prioritizing your peace, your growth, and your purpose, you naturally begin to attract better energy and lose what no longer serves you. And that's not loss, it's alignment. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. It's choosing progress over people-pleasing. It's choosing clarity over chaos. You don't need to explain why you're no longer available to everything and everyone. Growth is personal. And when you let go of what distracts, drains, or disrespects you, you make space for what builds you. So stop looking back. Stop trying to fix what's already fallen apart. Instead, redirect that energy into becoming stronger, smarter, and more focused. Because the best revenge is not anger. The best response is not words. The best outcome is evolving so powerfully that those who left realize you never needed them to begin.